What do they say about Christians and other non-Muslims, including atheists? What about homosexuals or women whose dress or behavior is un-Islamic? We know what Islamic states do to all these and many other categories of people. They persecute and kill them. They claim the authority of Islam, of the Quran, the Hadith, the Sharia, and their own leading scholars.
Hi guys, you are welcome to the Dixon's View. Today I'll be reacting on this video which claims Islam is a religion of peace. So now the question should be, is Islam really a religion of peace? Let's have a look at this video together, in which a member of the parliament spoke on Islam and its high level of terrorism.
Ladies and gentlemen, I very nearly decided not to come today. Yesterday, a British soldier was decapitated in cold blood on the streets of London by Islamists shouting Allahu Akbar. Them told the British public, "You people will never be safe." Why should I, a married father of 4, take the risk of questioning the religion of peace at a public debate that will be filmed and no doubt appear on the internet? I have met Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who was forced to live in hiding and then to leave Europe after her friend Theo van Gogh suffered the same fate as the soldier in Amsterdam. I have met the historian Benny Morris, who was assaulted outside the London School of Economics by Muslim students merely because he was an Israeli. I have British friends who have been forced to move to a secure gated refuge because of similar threats. But I have come precisely because I do not want to live in fear in a free country, our country. I do not want this great university, our university, to become a place where academics are intimidated. I do not want free speech to die in the land that gave this most precious of liberties to the rest of the world, including many of the 56 states that call themselves Islamic. I do not want Muslim women to endure domestic tyranny. The Pew survey reveals that more than 90% of the world's 1.5 billion Muslims believe that wives must always obey their husbands. In my view, it is crucial. Islam has the potential to be a religion of peace. No, sorry, I'm not taking...
I love what he just said here. He said Islam actually has a potential to be a religion of peace. He said a potential, and that you guys need to pay close attention to those words. We have the good Islam and the bad Islam. Yes, we know every religion has the good and the bad, but the bad apples obviously spoil the good ones. And if these bad apples gradually overpower the good ones, our society will never be in a good space. So this is what it's talking about. Islam actually have a potential to be good, but the ones that are bad don't give room to the good ones to be good. You can't even comprehend, and that is so devastating to see that the UK keep allowing these things to happen. When would all this chaos actually stop? If these people cannot be peaceful, why not deport them to their countries? There are many Islamic countries that will open their borders and welcome them in. Why allow them in the US? Why allow them in the UK? If every other country can emulate what Poland is doing, what many other countries are doing, their country will be in a safe place. But unfortunately, they are not doing it.
Points of information. But it will need to evolve a great deal if it is actually to become a religion of peace.
That's it.
Islam cannot evolve unless Muslim authorities, both religious and secular, allow the freedoms we in the West take for granted.
Okay, so one good thing about what this man has said is Islam cannot evolve. Do you know why? Because they practice Sharia law. Because they believe their law is above any other law. If this group of people actually cannot obey a law in a particular country, especially in the US, why are they in the United States of America? These people don't actually tend to assimilate or adjust to any country they are in. They want to take over. They want to dominate. That is their aim and that is the agenda. If countries understand that this is the goal of these people, everyone will be in a safe place. But we don't understand that. We think that every immigrant into our countries are good for us. But no, The case is the reverse.
Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of conscience. Of course, these freedoms go together with other basic principles which are absent in those countries. Equality before the law, civil and political rights, constitutional democracy, economic liberty, the separation of church or mosque and state. All these ideas emerged in the West because the Judeo-Christian tradition has always evolved in classical and medieval, Renaissance and Enlightenment periods, and it is still evolving today. As a Catholic, I must acknowledge that it is only in my lifetime that the Church adapted its teaching on the Jews from enemies to brothers. And in order to ensure that the 1.2 billion Catholics could see that the Church banished anti-Semitism in its practice as well as its preaching, successive popes have gone out of their way to reach out to Jewish people. How very different is the situation in Islam. Where Jews and Christians have allowed the reinterpretation of the Bible, Muslim scholars have insisted that the Quran, as the unmediated word of Allah, cannot be reinterpreted. Despite this rigidity, Islam did evolve in its early centuries, but since the medieval period, it has undergone successive waves of fundamentalism intended to restore the faith to its original purity and to impose it, if necessary by force, on the rest of the world. We are living through such a wave today, which includes the Wahhabi and Salafist branches of Sunni and the Iranian-inspired Shia Islam. The overall name we give to these movements is Islamism, or radical Islam. Rather than emphasize the earlier, more pacific elements in Muhammad's teaching, such as his Constitution of Medina, which granted equal rights to Jews, Christians and pagans, Islamists emphasize later doctrines, such as the division of the world into the Dar-ul-Islam and the Dar-ul-Harb, the House of Islam and the House of War. We are living, apparently, in the House of War. Or the draconian enforcement of Sharia law. Not content with the attempt to convert non-Muslims, Islamists stress the obligation to carry out jihad, understood to mean holy war, including terrorism. As we saw yesterday in Woolwich, or a few weeks ago in Boston, radical Islam is not only a threat in the Muslim world, but also here in our midst. It is, in fact, the most direct threat to Western civilization in the world today.
Exactly.
It is not enough. No, I'm sorry. It is not enough for Muslim apologists to point to statements of regret after terrorist attacks. They have to acknowledge the truth about their own past and present, the discrimination and cruelty towards non-Muslims, women and slaves that have characterized Islam from its inception. Mehdi Hassan is an exception. I'm sorry. In a brave and remarkable article in the New Statesman, he revealed what he called our dirty little secret, that anti-Semitism in the Muslim community is, quote, routine and commonplace, unquote. It was brave because Muslims have reason to fear reprisals when they speak out, and it was remarkable because most Muslims are in denial, encouraged by the pernicious notion of Islamophobia. Because of that notion, the police and other authorities were in denial about the rape and exploitation of girls here in Oxford, an evil that was only exposed at their recent trial. But what other dirty little secrets might Mehdi Hassan like to admit? Who else are Muslims, at least of the radical persuasion, inclined to denounce in private? What do they say about Christians and other non-Muslims, including atheists? What about homosexuals or women whose dress or behavior is un-Islamic? We know what Islamic states do to all these and many other categories of people. They persecute and kill them. They claim the authority of Islam, of the Quran, the Hadith, the Sharia, and their own leading scholars. I know there are other scholars who defy the Islamists. I had the honor of meeting the late Zaki Badawi, the founder of the Muslim College, who fought against the influx of Saudi-funded imams into British mosques, who fought for Muslim integration and who denounced the fatwa against Salman Rushdie. But, I'm sorry, Badawi lost all these battles. His leadership role has been usurped by Tariq Ramadan, who occupies a chair here in Oxford. He comes from a very different tradition, that of the Muslim Brotherhood, the vanguard of Islamism. To be blunt, Professor Ramadan is an Islamist wolf in sheep's clothing. Beware of him. A religion of peace has to practice what it preaches. I'm almost done.
Exactly.
You
only have to...
Let's pause it there for a while. A religion of peace has to what? Practice what it preaches. But unfortunately, they don't. They're always on the offensive angle when you tell them they are not a religion of peace. They claim their religion is a feminist religion, but I beg to differ. They don't practice what they say. They don't practice what they claim. So, what are we talking about? Islam does not practice free will. The day our world of today begin to learn and believe that this is true, the world will be in a safer place. There is no free will in Islam. You do not have a right to choose your religion. You do not have a right to choose where you want to belong according to Islam. Islam will not give you that free will. You would hardly see a single church in a country that has majority of its population to be Muslims. You dare not. So what are we talking about? In Somali, I don't think there's even a church in Somali. So what are we talking about? Look at what is happening in Gaza and Afghanistan, for example. Any country that is highly populated with Islam as a religion, there is chaos in there. There is high level of terrorism in there. So where is this religion of peace coming from? I don't get it. Can someone please educate me, because I'm confused?
Watch the news of persecution, war and terror from the Muslim world and beyond to find that religion of peace rings hollow. Peace is not on offer to the rest of us except at a price that is unacceptable. The price of submission to the Islamists who increasingly dominate their fellow Muslims across the globe. One of the Woolwich terrorists told onlookers he had committed his carnage because he wanted to bring our troops back so we can all live in peace. Our troops? He had just butchered one of them. That is not only murder, that is treason. Until it is purged of the radicals who preach in its name, until we can feel safe on our streets again, Islam does not deserve to call itself a religion of peace.
With this man. Islam does not deserve to call itself a religion of peace. Can there be an end to this level of terrorism on the streets? Can the streets be safe once again? Can the UK, can the US stop these people from doing as they please? I know the United States practices free will, but this free will has given them more harm than good in the US. So what are we talking about? If these people don't want to assimilate, don't want to adapt to the laws, to the way of life, to the culture in the US, deport all of them back to where they came from. It's actually because these people are a minority at the moment. That is why they are being quiet. They are practicing terrorism at a very low level because they are a minority. By the time these people are a majority, there will be no escape for anyone. This was a long watch. I want to know what you all think about this video. Till then, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, to this.